This is Trophy, the Scoundrel's Quarter, part 21. 21 sessions we're into this thing now. That's great. We don't have Jack on video today, so you get to see Marta's lovely face on the thing for today. Let's do a recall or recap. We're in the middle of playing Regicide right now, and we got up to the first two layers. Your characters all have you're in the middle of this thing that has not actually happened in the campaign yet in the setting. It's a future thing, a possible future thing, where the Royal House of Ambaret falls to revolution, and our characters are a mix of people who are here for the revolution and people who are secretly monarchists who are trying to rescue the royal scion, a figure that is very vague in definition, so much so that one of the characters now believes he is the royal scion. And so there's a lot of mystery around this royal scion character. Who or what is the royal scion? We know a few other things. Out of character, we know that the campaign's sort of like trio of big bad villains are here as well in the form of animals. They are watching the events of this tale because they want to learn something critical to their plans. And I'll remind you all as players that at the end of this today, we are going to pick the single person or thing that we believe Eotho, Patience, and One Eye or Bright Eye, bright teeth. Sorry, get all my body parts mixed up. That Eotho, Patience, and Bright Teeth are going to be after, or is going to be the focus of their plans. So just kind of keep that in mind as we're playing, because we'll have to decide that at the end. But up to this point, the characters have made it inside the palace. They have talked to this magpie. This magpie has whispered a secret to each of them. The secrets are a combination of just kind of creepy things, but also maybe some things that are super relevant to the future of this incursion or the campaign. One thing we know is that the royal family has a secret gallery in the bowels of the palace where they have an Agino. The paintings of Agino are among the rarest and most powerful objects in the world, in the game, in the setting of Trophy. And it's called The Fall of the King's Guard. We know that the royal family commissioned a cobbler to make shoes for them that would fit hoofed feet. So that's a weird detail. And the last detail that we got, the last secret, I believe was given to... I'm already forgetting what the last secret was. I just reminded myself of it too. And now I can't remember. I'm sure
Was
it'll
it
come
given to Baroon, who killed himself?
There's that one. That was the
Yeah.
one right before, or that was one right after the one that was given to, I believe it was Tam that got this secret. Anyway, I'll be reminded of it at some point when we take a break or whatever, and we'll get it. But let's keep going here. We have treasure hunters with ruin. Marta is still at 3, which is Marta's starting value. Tam has gone up to 3, and I owe you a condition, Tam, which we'll talk about in a moment. Rickard, you're up to 4, and your condition is this deepening belief that you might be the royal scion. So let's go ahead and pick up with our tale, if there's no other questions, with Ring 3. Ring 3, you are going deeper into this royal gallery. You're in a portrait gallery, except the portraits have all changed. They depict important people from the royal family's history, nobles, kings, queens, except all of the human faces and features have been replaced with magpie heads and feather like hands. And you'll notice, sort of Hogwarts like, that the paintings occasionally move and look at you with their little magpie eyes. I would also like to say that we ended the last session with Baroon hearing a secret and plunging a shard of glass into his own throat, ending his life. Baroon was Tam's one of Tam's co-conspirators in rescuing the Royal Scion. I think between the paintings and Baroon, I would like everyone to go ahead and make another ruin roll. While you're doing that, I've just remembered the third secret. The third secret was whispered to Tam, and it was the true name of the king. But let's get these ruin rolls on the table. Marta, you got a 4 and are going up to 4. Mm-hmm. Tam and Rickard both got 3s, and so they're okay for now. So Marta, I owe you a condition also. Let's talk about conditions and how they're, because I want to know how they manifest in this scene with all these strange paintings. Tam, your condition is all about accidentally letting slip your true feelings and your true nature. And this is how it manifests. You believe you've been invited to an extravagant ball. That's what you're here to participate in. And you have to make preparations to get ready for this extravagant ball. Marta, your conditions are interesting because you already seem like such a benighted character. I'm not sure how much worse we can go with Marta, but we'll figure it out. Let's see. I think taking a look at our conditions here in the incursion, I believe that you believe everything is a conspiracy against you. In particular, you're probably very, very suspicious of your two companions. You have to find out who is behind your terrible fortune. Mm-hmm. And so Tam and Marta, as we make our way through this gallery, how do these conditions begin to manifest?
For Marta, she was pretty disappointed that she wasn't the one to kill Baroon, that he took his own life. So I think that she's been moaning about that since they've been traveling through the castle. But one thing that she's been dealing with since Ring 1 was when she touched that gate, she had lost something. She had something taken from her by whatever ward was on there. And she keeps looking at a locket on a necklace that she has. And she's just been muttering to herself over and over. And what she doesn't realize is that this is a painting of her son, which she unfortunately she lost the memory of his execution at the hands of this monarchy. And so I think that she's just been sort of struggling with that gap in knowledge, and she seeing Ricard and Tam just sort of trotting on ahead. I think she's resentful towards them. I think that she's building up a resentment towards them for just being okay and just wanting the treasure. You know, I think that she feels like she's here on a deeper mission, and yeah, I think she's resentful towards them because of it.
as I'm walking through this gallery and looking up at these paintings, and they're really marvelous paintings. The colors are exquisite, and I've never seen anything quite like it. As I look into the paintings more, I can start to see that some of the characters, some of the people painted in them look like me, wearing unfashionable and badly tailored clothing, while everyone around me is wearing just incredible fabrics, and you can almost feel like how soft the silks and satins are just looking at it. And I look down at my own outfit and it's full of dirt and burn marks, and I just look terrible. And I think I'm starting to panic a little bit and trying to wipe off the dirt because this ball is coming up, and if I don't find something else to wear, I'm gonna have to show up like this, and that's worse than not showing up at all. So I think I'm just starting to panic about my outfit.
Rickard, you might see this um, veil of encroaching madness fall over the faces of your fellow treasure hunters, and you yourself are kind of going through it too. What are you doing right now? How do you react?
Seeing the expressions on his companions, I think he's just going to turn to face them and take each of them by a shoulder and say, I know that what Barun just did was awful, horrible, but
Who? Oh, yes, of course.
yes, we have to hold ourselves together. We just have to get through this, and we can find all that we need.
Tell me, boy,
Don't let it get to you.
what has this monarchy done for you? Or to you, rather?
Me?
Yes, you.
No more than it's done to everyone else. Oppressed us, kept us down and locked in our roles, and lied and controlled us, killed us.
When you say kill, her scowl kind of turns upwards into a bit of a smirk. It all feels very non-specific. What is your real meat in this game?
I was forced to do things I'd rather not discuss, Marta, if it's all the same to you.
Very well.
Everyone loves keeping secrets. It's one of the paintings. The painting looked like it originally depicted a woman in a beautiful sort of aubergine gown of satin and lace. But of course, her head has been replaced with the head of a magpie. But she speaks. She says, so many secrets. And then another painting of a young lord, who is now a magpie, says, now that the royal house has fallen, no one has any reason to keep a secret anymore. And now a painting of a scholar. Yes, yes, the bird-headed scholar says. We have all learned and seen so much, and now there is nothing preventing us from speaking aloud the things we know. Now is a time, says a painting of a stately-looking diplomat. Now is the time to speak aloud all the things we have held close to our breast these many years. Transparency for the people, yes. That is the real treasure inside this palace. Knowledge that has been kept from you all these many years. The magpie in the purple dress again. Come close. I will tell you what I know. Do you?
Mark looks to Tam to see how he's reacting to these paintings, talking about secrets.
Tam's eyes are very wide, and he says almost too loudly, I'm not in the habit of taking orders from talking paintings.
You have come to plunder this place, have you not? To take advantage of the chaos? Well, plunder the secrets. For that will get you much further in this world than shiny baubles will, and antiquities.
When the painting finishes, Marta turns slowly towards Tam, raising her scythe up to his chin, sort of pressing his chin upward. And who are you allied to?
Are you threatening me, old lady?
I'm simply asking questions.
Yes, but you're asking them with your weapon pointed at me.
Insurance. A motivator.
I'm here for the same reason you're here.
And that reason is
To see what's in this castle, what's worth taking away.
The painting of a corvid lordling cackles out. So much for the virtuous poor.
Never
I was
claimed
under the
virtue,
impression we
bird.
were liberating.
when that painting says that remark about the virtuous poor, I think Marta just whips the scythe blade from underneath Tam's chin and just sort of slams it into the painting head first, sort of drawing the blade across the surface if she can.
You can. It happens. It's fine. But I think that probably gets the rest of the paintings cawing, right? Like, there we are. There we are. This entire day has been a lesson in how you're just like us.
We're not paintings of birds. Covering my ears so I don't have to listen to them cawing.
This is some kind of dark magic trick to confuse us, to turn us against each other.
Oh, yes, yes. Always the responsibility of dark magic. You're letting your superstition show. Pheasant.
Pay them no mind. Keep moving.
Think they're trying to keep us from the next room?
No, no, proceed apace. There are many fabulous chambers for you to explore and to steal from, and then maybe shit in and then burn them down.
Sounds like a wonderful plan. Shall we?
See what you've done, birds?
They're just cawing mindlessly now.
Rickard's just going to start walking.
I hate birds. I'm gonna follow Rickard.
Marta will march behind, but she'll hawk a loogie at one of the paintings and keep going.
As you leave, you're challenged by one more of the paintings as you head into the next adjoining chamber. We know what secrets you each hold. We are experts by practice and breeding in acquiring gossip. Perhaps somewhere else we shall speak aloud the things you do not wish to be spoken of. Indeed, out of character, what are you each most concerned about the other treasure hunters finding out about you?
At this particular moment in time, I'm concerned that they will find out that I've been invited to an extravagant ball and they haven't, and they're going to turn on me in jealousy.
Rickard obviously doesn't want either of them thinking he could be part of the nobility by blood.
Marta, so her background is in proximity to power, and I think that some of this resentment that she's got going on is based in having been a member of not the royal family, but maybe like the royal court at some point. And it's something that still sort of weighs on her. And it's a lot of where her spite comes from. And she's worried. I think that if these two find out, they'll think of her as like a hypocritical crone.
Very interesting indeed. The next part of the palace that you head into are the royal quarters, where the royal family and guests sleep and live. And so passes ring 3. Let's take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and do ring 4. Ring 4. The royal quarters is actually kind of a large part of the palace, and it kind of has lots of hallways that go hither and thither. And so I'm going to turn it over to the three of you, knowing what we know about your characters so far, their motivations, their aspirations, their conditions, their secrets. What sorts of things might you be looking for in the royal quarters? Whether a certain knowledge, a certain thing, a certain person? I'll let you decide, and then I'll kind of tell you what you find. So whoever wants to go first, please say so.
I am looking for a nice outfit to wear to this extravagant ball. I'm also trying to find the last scion, but I assume that the last scion's going to be at the ball. That's where I'm supposed to meet them. That's why I'm
Exactly.
here.
Yeah.
This is my mission.
Right.
So, but I can't show up with this on or
Yeah.
with these people.
Rickard, what might you be looking for in the royal quarters?
I am looking for something, a symbol of oppression that I can melt down and turn into something for the people. Maybe a crown that the backup crown, or a scepter, something really powerful.
Intriguing. Marta?
I think the big thing I'm looking for is something that will tell me where this because that little gallery with the magpies, I don't think that's that's not the gallery that she's looking for. That's not what the art is. So I think she's looking for either a key or some sort of notes on where the location is. And I think in the meantime, she'll also be looking for anything that might tie her to her past in the royal court and getting rid of that as discreetly as she can.
Oh, very interesting. Maybe remind us what you did for the royal family before?
So we didn't really talk about it last session, but I think what she was sort of a propagandist.
Right.
She's got she's a gazetteer, and I think that part of that was at least in the past to generate positive press. She's just a glorified press woman for the royal court. But she couldn't abide by their atrocities for as long as for too much longer, and that's why she divested.
Let's start with Tam. Tam, you find yourself, and just yourself, you all are separate at this point. You find yourself in a lavish dressing room. There are floor-length mirrors arranged in a semicircle around a large tufted leather ottoman upon which you would stand so that you could look at yourself from different angles while you were dressed by your valets or handmaids or whoever it might be. This space is remarkably untouched. Most of the palace is. The Corvine militia has maintained their desire to not burn down the palace. And so the palace, this is still very much intact. You see the room is bisected. On one side are gowns and wigs and shoes and things that are for a woman or more feminine presenting, and then on the other half it's for men. Where do you start looking for your extravagant ball attire?
I think I start by looking at the fabrics themselves, not so much the cuts, because you can always tell when a fabric is really expensive or fancy versus the cut is just the cut. Like you can make a nicely cut outfit out of crappy fabric, but that's not really the same thing. So I think yeah, I'm looking at the different types of fabrics and just seeing which one as a seamstress myself, which one would be the most expensive to work with? Which one would be the hardest thing to make something out of? And I imagine that'll probably be in the dresses section because they
Oh,
just
I
tend to
see.
have a
So the
lot more
idea
going for
is to
them.
pull apart a dress, right?
Yeah, and just put it all together with as many fancy fabrics that I can find. I'm a pretty good seamstress, so I could probably whip together something pretty quick that'll look really fabulous. And I will have my moment in the sun at this ball when I show up to rescue the last scion and be a hero.
Yeah, you could be doing that. We'll come back to this moment. Rickard, you said you were looking for some sort of object or weapon that could confer power and status and authority to you?
Well, not to me, but something that represents the power and authority once held by the royals.
Hmm,
I wouldn't want that. That's ridiculous.
that is absurd. You find yourself in a bedchamber. In which there is a majestic bed covered with a canopy with purple curtains embroidered with gold. The bed itself looks like it's on a dais, like a stage. It is meant to be the center of attention whenever there's someone sleeping there and there are people in attendance. The hall itself is quite large, the bedroom, and it looks big enough for a whole gathering of people to be there. This might very well be the bedchamber of the royal patriarch or the queen or who knows. The curtains are presently closed, though. What do you do?
This is the kind of opulence and the kind of, frankly, privacy that Rickard would have never seen in a bedroom before. And so I think he'll be moving to the wardrobe, but as he goes, he just kind of reach out and touch the curtain to just see what it feels like.
You hear a voice inside the canopy, a woman's voice. Do not be shy. I've been waiting on you. You and I were married in secret. But in order for your claim to the throne to be assured, you must consummate our marriage. Even now, in this troubled time, perhaps because of this troubled time, it is important that we make formal our union.
Rickard's going to take a couple steps back and say, I assure you, madam, I've married no one secret or otherwise.
Let
You
me
are
gaze
mistaken.
upon you. The curtains are opened, parted just enough for me to see you.
Yeah, Rickard will hesitate for a minute before drawing it open.
Marta, you go through all manner of chambers, and you see they're mostly empty. A lot of them have been tossed and turned, people grabbing their valuables and running as fast as they can to escape, perhaps to just outside the palace gates, perhaps to full-on exile. But eventually you do come upon a guard dragging his left leg behind him, and he has on his waist a large ring of keys. This sentry clearly has access to places, which means he might know where things are, and he's just sort of sliding down the hall, or dragging his leg down the hall.
Hey there, boy.
He turns. There you are. You are expected.
I'm sorry.
The council. The council wishes to speak with you. You are the royal propagandist, are you not?
No, I'm not. And she gets really tight and clenches the scythe between her hands.
And yet you fit the description. Furtive crone.
Who told you? And she'll put the blade up to his neck.
Madam, this is no time for insurrection. We've had plenty of that today.
What do they wish to speak with me about?
That is above my pay grade. I am merely come to find you and take you to them.
I don't think you'll be taking me anywhere in this state.
Do you think I do not have the power to overpower you just because I have sustained injury?
Let's see. And she'll step on the wound at his leg as hard as she can.
When you step on his leg, instead of the crunching of bone, instead of the yelping of pain from him, instead of whatever give you expected to feel under your own boot, you just hear and feel a squelching underneath. You see black goo spilling out over the lip of his boot as you push it out. And he says, "Oh, that was not a wise move. I would like for you to make a ruin roll."
Yeah. Oh. It's a 1.
How are you feeling right now?
I mean, she's definitely skeeved out by the gross black ick that just came out of this dude's leg. She was expecting blood and bone, not whatever this is.
He lunges for your scythe to try to disarm you. What do you do?
I'm gonna try and lop his leg off and then try to subdue him.
Let's do a risk roll.
All right.
Everyone can say what could go wrong here.
He gets the better of you. He manages to kill you, and your body is just left there for forever.
He manages to get the better of you and feed you some of that black goo.
Ooh.
I don't have anything to add. I like those. Let's talk dice. Do you have a skill or piece of equipment that will help you here? Or actually, no, you can't do equipment in Trophy Dark, just a skill. The skill or the environment. You can use the environment as well.
I barter somehow.
Yeah, gossip, writing, flattery, and barter is not feeling
Yeah,
great
I don't know if
here.
I've got anything there.
Let's go ahead and do devil's bargains. Everyone can make a bargain.
No matter what, you do get some of that black goo on you.
No matter what, you do end up in the hall of the council.
No matter what, it won't just be this guard that recognizes you as a royal propagandist.
Oh, these are all fun. But I think
Different
I'm gonna
types of fun, each
go,
one.
yeah. But I think going to the council will be fun.
You have one light die presently, and I'm going to make you roll a dark die as well. And let me take a look at your conditions. No,
Extra
I think
suspicious.
no. I don't think the conditions would negatively affect you, so you're good.
6 dark.
6 dark. That does mean your ruin goes up,
Yes, it
but
does.
you do take this guy out, or you have control here. Think about what this looks like, and we'll come back to it. Tam. In the time it took Marta to throw open doors and look through rooms, you've got a pretty decent looking outfit made here. Describe it. What does it look like?
I have a embroidered silk vest that's in a sort of deep navy blue. The thread that's weaved throughout it is gold and silver, and you can see patterns that make up flowers and leaves, and it's very delicate. Underneath is a light pink shirt with a big fluffy like cravat type collar tie, and it has beads along the cuffs that are the same navy blue as the vest. And my flowing ball gown skirt is also blue and pink. It has a very long trail behind it, a big train, and it is covered in lace and very glittery pearls, basically all over. So I am very beautiful and shiny and delicate,
Very
which is just going to
interesting.
make me look even cooler when I become the hero.
Indeed, indeed. Well, Tam, our expert seamster, you are looking at your handiwork when you are joined by a group of courtiers who enter. Courtiers is not the right word. They're probably more like valets, I guess. They have each had their mouths sewn shut so that they cannot speak the secrets of the royal family. They have had their eyes sewn shut so they cannot see the depredations of the royal family. And they nevertheless approach and gather up your outfit and wave a hand, one of them does, a hand that's missing a couple of fingers, and points you over to the little tufted ottoman to stand upon it so they can help you dress.
I turn towards the person who is standing closest to me and I sort of wave my hand in
Make a
front of
ruin
their
roll too,
face
by the way.
to see if they react.
Yeah, make a ruin roll.
Ah, that's a 1.
Very good. How are you feeling?
I've heard stories about what happens in this particular castle. I have worked with the monarchy for a while, but not here. So I was expecting some strangeness. I think the weird talking bird paintings set me up pretty comfortably to expect even weirder things. So I don't think this is terribly surprising. Just weird.
Do you stand on the ottoman?
Absolutely.
Rickard, you pull the curtain open to see a woman wearing a sheer white kind of gown. Quite naked, quite beautiful, if not for the fact that the lower portion of her legs are covered in fur and end with hoofs. Unless you're into that sort of thing. And she pushes up on her elbows and licks her cheek lasciviously with her double tongue. And she says, "I'm afraid you have me at a bit of a disadvantage, my love, for you can see all of me, but I can see nothing of you. I must confirm that you have come from an appropriate bloodline. Make a ruin roll. Could be the one that sends you over the edge."
3.
Very good. I will tell you, because you're at 5 ruin now, just worth pointing out, you are entitled to do a reduction roll.
Still at 4, actually.
Oh, you're at 4. Oh, I thought you were at 5 for some reason. I don't know why I thought that. Who's at 5? Oh, Marta's at 5. Marta, we'll talk to you about you in a minute. You're okay then. What are you thinking right now?
He'll definitely be recalling what the magpie told him about the slippers for cloven feet, or for hooved feet, and he'll be taking several steps back and just shaking his head.
He says, "We don't have much time."
I assure you, I am not from an appropriate bloodline.
"No, but you are. Don't you see? We must occasionally breed with one such as you. Otherwise, the entire royal line would be physical horrors, would be forced always to stay behind closed doors. We have to be able to get one that's intact enough to push out onto the parapet every now and then and wave to the masses."
Rickard's just going to be backing toward the door.
She crawls out of the bed, dragging her hoofed legs behind her. She says, "Pardon the awkwardness, but they don't actually function." And she's crawling towards you. The hour grows late. It is paramount that you and I fulfill our duty. We are husband and wife.
Rickard's going to just tilt his head toward the door and say, "Marta!"
At this point, she lunges just to kill. What do you do?
He's going to reach for the hammer on his tool belt.
I love it. Everyone gets to say what could go wrong here. I'll put just a roaming line on sexual violence, but otherwise I'm open to almost anything else.
I think it's just violence. I think, I think she just lunges up and, maybe she sprouts a few extra rows of teeth or something, just kind of gets in there.
Yeah, I like the idea of, I think it's just, she just brutally kills you. I think that
Yeah.
is probably sufficient.
Extra rows of teeth is pretty good.
Yeah, it's
Extra
pretty
teeth
good.
is always scary.
Yeah, well, she's already got 2 tongues, so
Yeah.
Um, fantastic. Do you have a skill that will help you here?
Labor, the wages of war.
I mean, well,
He was a soldier.
he was a soldier. That's fair. Oh yeah, okay, I'll give it to you. Devil's bargains, anyone?
No matter what, she transforms and attacks you, but you're bitten, and you carry something of her after that.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Mine was going to be almost the exact same, where she would attack you, and somehow now you have weird hoofed feet.
I'm
But
gonna
I like
go
Jack's better.
with no matter what. No matter what, you learned that you were actually secretly married to her. That is not just some weird delusion on her part.
I changed mine. I think that no matter what, you will find out that you're not the royal scion, but somehow in this encounter, you will become the bearer of the royal scion.
These are pretty good. What do you think?
Oh, those are all good. Can't take them all, can I?
Mm.
They're not incompatible.
No, it's not necessarily.
Let's go with actually secretly married. Something happened when he was a soldier. He doesn't remember.
Oh, that's good. It goes that far back. Yeah, that's good. You have 2 light dice and a dark die. Go for it. See how you do.
Light 5.
Light 5. Okay. I'll tell you what the complication is, and you can make a decision about whether you want to reroll or not. You're going to be able to dispatch her however you wish. Before she dies, you will be reminded somehow of you did actually, in fact, marry her at some point. And the complication, though, is that I think there are other courtiers in the room who will come to assist. If you don't want to deal with that, you have to add dark die. Try again.
I think that's actually great where it is.
Think about what this scene looks like. Well, think about what the killing of her looks like. I'll come up with the other part of it. Let's check in with Marta. Marta, go ahead and take this card out.
So I think he starts to stand up. His positioning is a little wobbly, a little awkward, and there's more of that black goo just sort of gushing out, spurting out onto the floor. Beautiful, I'm sure, marble tiled floors here. And he rushes her, but she's quicker than you probably give her credit for. And as he lunges at her, she just lowers the blade just enough that it hooks like in between his legs, and she just pushes the scythe upwards.
I love it. You, perhaps with your adrenaline pumping or just in a haze, you stumble away from the scene, Marta, and collapse into a room. Where the council has just finished hearing something from the fox. The fox, upon seeing you, gives you that gleaming white grin and scampers away. The council, they are not as you remember them. They are each much taller than you recall, wearing long, flowing robes, and they all have a veil over not over their faces, over their heads, like a cloth, a drop cloth over their heads. And they speak. It has been many years since you have met with us, royal propagandist.
What did that fox tell you?
The fox speaks, lies, it prevaricates. But it has at least confirmed to us that none of this is actually happening.
What do you mean this is all a dream? An illusion? Magic?
Don't be so prosaic in your thinking, royal propagandist. This is the future.
Why do you call me a propagandist? I haven't been one of those in decades. I left that behind.
Because you will be one now. Or, put more accurately, you will be one then. They all pull back their little cloths. They pull them right off to reveal that their heads are giant crystal balls, orbs, in various colors. And the one speaking to you shows an image in its crystal ball head. An image of you speaking to the people, convincing the people of the greatness of the royal family, of what a wonderful life everyone in Ambaret and indeed in all of Kaldur enjoy because of the royal family. You are how this future is going to be avoided. Please make a ruin roll. This might be it for you.
I don't think I want to. No, I got a 4.
Very good. How are you feeling?
She's angry. She's seeing this past, this future, this timeline that she's disgusted by, and I think that just in sort of base instinct, she gets to her feet and she's going to try and just cleave this crystal ball off the top of its shoulders.
Very good. Let's check in with Tam. Tam, the valets are making small alterations to your work. The corsetry is not nearly tight enough, and you can feel it pulling against your ribs quite violently. And frankly, the cloth doesn't lay as it should lay, and so they are now attempting to use needle and thread to actually bind it to your skin. They are going to make this gown, this dress, or it's a suit gown. They are going to make it part of your body. Unless you do something about this.
Yes, I'm going to definitely do something about this. I am going to, since I'm standing up on this tufted thing, and I'm going to take advantage of the fact that they can't really see, and I'm going to start kicking out at them.
Let's have a risk roll. What could go wrong, Ben and Jack?
think there's just too many of them, and you'll be overwhelmed by them and their sewing instruments, and they'll turn you into a tapestry, a work of art.
Yeah, I don't think I can beat
I
that.
like that too. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Fabulous, Tam. Well, Tam, I want to ruin roll first. Once you realize what they're doing to you.
That's a 6.
Okay, so you're going up to 4. Let's now get the risk roll going. Do you have a light die that will help you?
I am skilled in needlework.
Okay.
So I
Defensive
at least know what
needlework.
they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can pick up on what they're doing. Yeah. I like that. And Devil's Bargains, anyone?
Hmm. No matter what, I think it has something to do with needlework. I think no matter what, one of their like maybe enchanted needles pricks you, and sort of similar to Martyr, you're also like you're awakened to another reality that influences what you do from here on out.
That's intriguing.
No matter what, you are going to become part of this outfit. It will wear you, as I suppose it could be said.
That's interesting indeed. I think I like both of those. If you want to choose between those, I think those are both really good.
Oh dear, they're both good. I do like the idea of the outfit wearing me because I'm not really sure what that means, so I kind of want to play with it. So I think I'm going to go with that.
2 light, 1 dark.
A light 4.
The complication in the struggle, one of these valets, their bindings on their mouth will come loose, and they will whisper a secret of the royal family to you. You can always add a dark die to avoid that, but
Oh, I want to keep that. That sounds fun.
go ahead and describe how do you escape the situation?
I kick out towards whoever is leaning towards me at this moment, trying to stitch this outfit into my skin. And I can feel the needle just start to push in underneath the layers of epidermis. And I catch them with my very beautiful shoe that I have put on. I catch them right in the face, which is how they lose their stitching. And as they fall to the ground, they can't help but whisper out all the secrets that they have been holding in. Now, not everybody knows all the secrets, but this one particular secret that this person has, they whisper out as they go. I use the distraction to push my way through the rest of the group, and I pick up my long train, I pick up my skirts, and go running back through out of the dressing room. I'm not running very fast because I am wearing a very tight corset. It's not easy to run in a corset because you can't take really deep breaths, but I'm doing my best.
The one, as you kick him away and his mouth rips open, as he's trying to get to you, he says, "I've seen it. I've seen what they do. The hearts of the royal patriarchs, pickled and put in jars and saved forever. I can show you. I can show you where they are. But unless you turn back, you run.
I run.
Indeed.
Yeah, this is scary.
Rickard, there are little antechambers all around this bedchamber with little narrow doors. You can hear movement from behind them. Have you described how you've dispatched the lover yet? No, you haven't, because I haven't also told you how you learned that you're secretly married. But we're going to get to that. You start to hear bleating from the other sides of the doors. Ah! Ah! And other sundry barnyard noises. Ah! Come, my love. They've come to watch the consummation of the marriage. They have waited so long. Here you will recall, Rickard, a moment that was like a dream. A moment when you were serving as a soldier in war. A group of strange people who came to one of your camps, doing what was thought to be an inspection of the soldiers standing in ranks, but was incredibly invasive as far as personnel inspections go. What do you recall about that?
Just flashes, really, of people taking him aside into a tent and inspecting him, taking blood, looking for markings and scars.
And then that night you dreamed. You dreamt of a moonlit glade, of you wading into a pool of water with a beautiful woman who was waded into the water as well, up to her waist so you couldn't see her bottom half. Animals along the banks, watching as you confessed your love for each other. But then you awoke from the dream, of which you are presently reminded. What do you do with her? And where do you go?
I think that I'd like to play a little bit with what we might presume consummation could look like here. And I think before he can react with the hammer, she is going to sink her teeth into where his neck meets his shoulder.
Hmm.
And that's what kind of jars him awake, and he gets that hammer and hits her in the side of the head.
Hmm. The voices on the other side of these little doors are now intermingled with the sounds of actual voices of people. They are reminding you of the ancient pacts struck between the forest and the civilized lands. reminding you that the Royal House of Ambaret stands only because of these ancient obligations between fauna and the herd of the sisters. You are part of this obligation. You must fulfill it. Or the tree line will no longer recognize the ancient boundaries and will begin pushing until it envelops all. Please make a ruin roll.
That's 6. So I'm going up to 5.
You are going up to 5. How are you feeling?
I think the images from what he thought were a dream and perhaps something in this woman's bite is flooding his mind, clashing with the memories that he had previously believed to be correct and whole. And as the words about the forest and the obligations are spinning around, he starts to feel that obligation again. The soldier in him is waking up. The responsibilities and the duties are feeling more pressing than they have in quite some time.
You can leave, though, if you wish.
I think he'll drop the hammer without even really checking to see whether he finished her off or merely stunned her, and he's just going to back away and just mutter something that might have been an apology and flee.
Marta, you said you were going to lop off one of the crystal orb heads of one of the counselors.
Yeah.
I think what could go wrong here is that essentially you are pressed into service of the present day
Mm-hmm.
to fulfill your obligation to keep the people at peace.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Amanda, you can make a devil's bargain. Well, first of all, do you have a skill that will help you?
You know what? It's funny. I don't.
Amanda, you can make a devil's bargain.
No matter what, you become convinced that something you will do or say will change the course of history in the next part of this adventure.
I'm gonna do it.
One light die, one dark die. Go for it.
Or dark. Or
Or
light
dark.
too.
The complication is that inside the heads of one of the other counselors, you will witness something you don't want to see.
Yeah, I think that she's just sort of wildly swinging, and I think if it's okay to build off that, I think that she sees in the split second where she manages to lop off the crystal ball head of this entity. I think she sees the memory that got taken from her in ring 1, but it's too fast. She's too fast, and as she cuts the head off, the orb falls and kind of cracks, and the memory is gone. And I think that deep down she knows that she's lost it forever.
And in the heads of one of the other counselors, you see an image of you from the past of this moment before the revolution. You see an image of you having been arrested and tried for treason, being shipped to Barsoul prison. And at this point, you'll hear a commotion as Rickard and Tam join each other in the hall outside the counselor's hall. Do you join them?
I think she does. I think she's on her knees in this hall. I think the other figures maybe step away, drift into the shadows or something like that. But I think if they do find her, she's just going to be on the ground, sort of cradling the broken crystal ball that she chopped off and looking very upset. Her very large, protruding eyes just kind of welling up with tears.
Very good. At this point, Marta and Rickard, you both have Ruin 5. You are entitled to do reduction rolls. To do a reduction roll, you just have to do something in the fiction surreptitiously to betray the others, and then you'll roll to see if they notice your betrayal or not, but your ruin will go down. And so we'll fast forward a little bit with the three of you pressing deeper into this part of the palace. You end up in a hallway that ends with just one large set of double doors. Probably leads to the next part of the palace. Maybe it leads to another grand chamber, but the grandness of the doors indicate something important on the other side. You can hear from the other side of those doors what sounds like a music box. That kind of simple, chimey music box music being played on a loop. Every time the song finishes, you can hear it being wound up again, and the song starts again. What are you each doing right now?
The way I found my way down to these double doors was not really of my own decision making. I noticed as after I escaped from the dressing room that whenever I would turn down a certain corridor or move towards a certain door, my clothing would become uncomfortable. The corset would tighten, or I would trip up in my skirts. The cravat would tighten around my throat until I turned away and went a different direction. And then it would loosen, become more comfortable. In fact, so comfortable that it was like wearing, the most easy to wear outfit, something that you would go running in, something that you would go playing in, until I turned down the wrong corridor again. That's how I found my way to these double doors that I stand outside of. And as I step backwards apprehensively, the cravat tightens against my throat again and pulls me forward. So I have really no choice but to go through these doors.
I love it. Rickard, what do you do?
I think as he's walking down the hall, his memories and thoughts are kind of swirling through his head, and the wooden beams alongside either side of the hall are they're appearing more and more like trees as he moves, and he can't help but hear the little chitterings of wildlife and feel like he's in the forest. But as he approaches the others, it's a bit like he snaps back to something closer to this reality, and he just looks at them, probably a little haunted, and looks at the big doors and tries to remember why he came here in the first place. It's still there, it just doesn't feel as urgent anymore. But seeing Tam's outfit and noting that it's pretty extravagant, he'll kind of cock a brow and what are you doing? We're not. Why are you dressed like that?
Why are you dressed like that?
This is what I wore here.
I decided to change.
Clearly.
I could ask why you didn't decide to change. You decided to keep wearing that.
You could.
But I'm not going to.
Good. Let's continue.
Marta, what are you doing?
Yes, the two of them have been, I think they've been walking ahead, and Marta has been thinking about a lot of things. And as part of my follow-up on Devil's Bargain that Amanda proposed, as well as my reduction roll, I have a ritual called Artifice, which is to create a perfect fruit of my craft. My craft, of course, is suspicion and propaganda. And so, as they've been talking amongst each other, I have been making an apple, and I would like to feed it to Rickard to feed him the information that I have, or at least the supposed information that I have on Tam, to sort of coax him over to my side and make him,
Oh.
you know, just as suspicious of Tam as I am.
I like this as a reduction roll. Go ahead and roll this to see if Tam picks up on what you're doing.
1.
Does not. I'd like the scene with the apple and Rickard. What happens here?
So I think that since Tam is unbeknownst to us being sort of pulled and coaxed towards these doors by the cravat, and after the two of them have that little moment, I don't think he even knew Martha was there, but she just sort of puts a hand on Rickard's shoulder, and it's cold and clammy, and I'm sure it sort of like takes him by a surprise a bit. But she goes, "You look peckish, boy. Here." And she just sort of presents this shining red apple. But in a certain angle of the light, you could see that there's like almost like sort of like the way that white tattoos are. You see the sort of writing on the skin of the apple.
I think he'll look at it momentarily and then back up and say, "Thank you, grandmother," and just take it, clearly distracted, and just sink his teeth in.
So does Rickard now learn that Tam is a royalist?
I don't know if he learns that he's a royalist, but I think he just sort of adopts my suspicions of Tam, and especially sort of like reinforced by the fact that he's running around in all this finery.
Yeah, that's a great point. Marta, you can put your ruin at 4. At this point, you're stepping into the chamber on the other side of these double doors. The music box music is louder. The chamber itself, as soon as you walk in, you're hit with this very strong, overpowering smell of saffron and pine resin. This large chamber is bisected. The side that you're on is quite empty. The other side is behind a large curtain that cuts the room in two. And you hear from the other side of the curtain noises. Something sliding on the ground. The rattle and clatter of something on marble. A swishing and a clattering. And then a voice. Who here among you is my rescuer? I am the royal princess. I have waited for you to come and get me, to take me away from this horror.
I'm going to step forward. Your Majesty, it is I, Tam. I was sent. I was sent to rescue you.
Oh, yes.
I'm
And
here.
you see an eye appear in the tiny gap between the curtains. Yes, and you look most gallant. Please, come here. Step into my boudoir.
Of course, Your Majesty. There should also be some sort of ball or festivity that we need to get to.
Yes, we
Are
shall
you
have
ready?
celebrations. We shall have celebrations once the royal patriarch is restored. But
I
for
will.
now, come, take me into your arms, rescue me, like the heroes in the tales of old.
I give a side eye
I
to Ricard.
yeah, I'm going to step forward into this place.
You step behind the curtain. It's actually quite dark. There are no windows on this side, and the curtains do a pretty good job of blocking out the light from the side you're on, which was already pretty dim. But there's just enough light for you to see that the princess is enormous. Indeed, she seems to take up this entire space. She moves like a snake, swaying back and forth, and as she moves, you hear this sliding of fabric, but also this clattering along the ground. She says, "Do not be disturbed by my appearance. I am a perfect princess. My father grew disappointed with all of the royal heirs, discarding them each one by one when they no longer pleased him. But I brought them together. I am a perfect amalgamation of them. I am all the royal heirs brought together in one. Feel my stitching." And you can feel in the darkness, not bad stitching. Who are these others?
They're nobody, Your Majesty. They're nobody.
Then let
I
us...
understand now why it was me sent on this mission. I understand now.
What are the two of you doing, Rickard and Marta?
Can we hear them from where we're
Yes.
at? Okay, yeah.
You can hear all of that.
I think with hearing the whole, I'm an amalgamation of all the descendants. I think that immediately, gets Marta's hackles up. And she turns up to look at Ricard and says, "See, told you she can't be trusted. He can't be trusted."
Yes. We should stop him.
Yes.
You can see on the other side of the, like on the far side of the room where the curtain meets the floor, you can see half a face which has been sewn to a piece of cloth. But that half a face does have an ear, and that ear is listening, and it is then retracted behind the curtain. And the princess says to you, Tam, "They speak treasonous words. We must be rid of them."
They're nothing. They're nothing, Your Majesty. We'll just leave. Let's just go.
We must go through them.
I think March is going to throw the curtain open,
Oh,
standing behind Tam.
that washes
And
the space in light somewhat. You can see that the princess is an enormous living patchwork blanket of skin, eyes, silk, and ermine, a squirming assembly of discarded airs. She's incredibly fast, a sort of roiling flat millipede with extremities of teeth and broken bone. Please, everyone, make a ruin roll.
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I rolled a 6.
Marta's back up to 5. Yeah, the princess just launches herself at Marta and Rickard. What do the two of you do?
So I think it's part of my reduction roll. I think that her drive is to liberate a piece of art from unworthy eyes, but this is a very large piece of art, monstrous even.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be much easier to liberate those unworthy eyes. So she's going to go for Tam.
Oh, you're going to actually attack Tam
Yes.
directly?
Yes.
Oh,
With the
interesting.
scythe.
Okay, so this is just a contest roll then.
Mm-hmm.
Rickard, what are you going to do?
I think he's going to grab that box of tinder and start trying to strike it.
And burn the princess. This is a really intense scene. I love it. Let's do the contest roll real quick here. We're getting pretty close to the end of this layer or this ring. What are the stakes here? Tam, are you going to fight back? I assume you are.
Yeah.
So this is basically like trying to kill each other.
Well,
I'm
I'm at
trying
least
to
trying to kill
defend the
Tam.
princess.
But
Yeah.
Say that again, Marta.
Oh, I'm trying to kill Tam. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll say what's at stake is whether Tam dies or not. So let's remind ourselves how the contest rule works. When you act against each other, compete, or otherwise try to inflict harm on each other, first agree what's at stake. You get 1 light die if your occupation or background gives you an appropriate skill. Marta, I'm not seeing it. What about you?
Would I be able to use my drive?
It is.
If not, it's fine.
Your occupation or background, no. So I like as a motivation though. What about you, Tam?
The best I think I have is skills in terror, treason, being a secret monarchist.
Yeah, maybe vigilance.
Surprise. Yeah.
Vigilance if you're like maybe prepared for something like this, I guess.
Yeah, because my goal, I mean, obviously to survive, but also to protect the princess.
I'll give you your light die for vigilance. Let's keep looking at this roll here. You get another light die for each mark of ruin. So Marta, you're at 5, and Tam, you get 4 more. So you're both at 5 light. And you both take 1 dark die. So you're both at 5 light, 1 dark. As many additional dark dice as you wish. We're looking for 6s. If any of the dark dice come up 1, your ruin also goes up by 1 for each one. So once you have your dice locked into the contest roller, let me know.
I'm ready.
And roll. Marta is the winner with 2 6s. However, Marta also got a 1. So Marta risked a total of 7 more dark dice. One of those came up a 1, which pushes Marta up to 6 ruin and got 2 6s. Tam only got 1 6, but did not get any ruin, but it doesn't matter because Tam's going to be killed. So great contest roll. I love it. Really fabulous. Let's take a quick break, like a 3-minute break, so you can think of what think about what this scene looks like, and then we'll come back and narrate it. Before we resolve this contest roll, I want to get Rickard's risk roll done too, just to see if that plays into this conflagration. So, yeah. What could go wrong here, gang?
She's a big princess, and he's a tiny man, and he'll get trampled.
Yeah. I think that, like, maybe you just die in the fire also.
Or you get sewn to her.
Oh, that'd be good. You get incorporated.
Yeah, because you're the heir apparent.
You're the
Yeah,
royal.
that's worse.
Yeah. Like, you just are the next one, discarded heir.
Kind of proves that you're the scion.
Yeah, I kind of love that, actually. Okay, let's keep going here. Do you have a relevant skill? Making do.
Making do.
Yeah. Devil's bargains.
No matter what, the thing you are looking for to make from a symbol of oppression, the princess is wearing it.
Oh, that's good.
That's pretty good.
No matter what, something in her remains. So no matter what, after she's dead, something in her remains confirms that you are actually the scion.
Sorry, I froze during Amanda's suggestion. What was that?
Sorry about that. I suggested that, no matter what, the item, the thing that you're looking for, the beautiful thing you're looking for to make a symbol of oppression from, the princess is wearing it.
Those are both really good. I'll second both of those.
I'll go with Jack's. That it's proof that Rickard is the scion.
That your suspicions are correct.
Very interesting. Okay, well, I have a great way of doing that too. Whenever it happens, I know what that's going to look like. Let's do some dice though. 2 light, 1 dark.
Light 6.
Light 6. Very good. Let's wrap up Marta and Tam's story first. So, what happens here? Marta, you're in control of the scene.
So, the princess in all of her sutured glories starts to kind of sort of wriggle and writhe. And I think that's when Marta uses that movement as sort of a distraction. I think there's maybe sort of kind of a sense of awe in Tam's eyes looking up at this creature that's, this patchwork creature. And I think that's when Marta reaches their scythe behind Tam and just plunges the sharp end of the scythe through his eyes, pulls back.
Anything you want to add, Tam?
As I stumble back, the outfit that I am wearing triggers my ritual.
Oh, nice. Which is?
Sharpen the blunt end.
Oh, very good.
This is mostly just to give Jack some more, fun things to play with as Marta goes
to 6 ruin. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think as this magic is going off, it's sort of smashing against different pieces of furniture. And as Marta's sort of dragging and pulling your head, because I don't think she has the strength to just lop your head off, but she does sort of have the strength to pull it through your head very gradually. But there's a moment where Marta knocks over this beautiful sort of like quilted leather chair and tips it over. And there's a flash, and Tam's ritual sort of like sparks against one of the legs and becomes this sharp pike that Marta stumbles on and impales herself on. So she just has her with a scythe in her hand with Tam's face on it, and now she's got this chair leg run through her.
Rickard, please describe how you destroy the princess.
I think that he's going to take advantage of the fact that she's so distracted by what's going on between Tam and Marta, and he's frantically rubbing the flint against the sparker with the end of the tapestry as tinder. And as one particularly juicy spark just flies off and hits the end of perhaps a bit of ermine, Rickard takes a couple steps back, looks at his now dead or dying companions, and his kind of slumped shoulders straighten a little, and he stands a little taller, and he lets out a breath and watches as the princess goes up in flames.
I'll tell you what you see in the flames in a moment. But first, I will tell you that the Scoundrel's Quarter ruin is being reduced by 2 right now. And so the Scoundrel's Quarter is now, I think it's just back down to 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Looks like.
There is going on in the Scoundrel's Quarter right now an initiative to remember the treasure hunters that go into the Caldur seeking their fame and fortune. This initiative is being done, it takes the form of a patchwork quilt where friends and family, loved ones, comrades of fallen treasure hunters create a square for said fallen treasure hunter, which is then added to this grand quilt to memorialize them. This gives a great feeling of good cheer and camaraderie and good feeling in the Scoundrel's Quarter. Rickard, as the princess burns up, you start to get a good look at the discarded heirs from which she is constructed of. And boy, they sure look a lot like you. They look like you. They have the same eyes, the same nose. Some of them look like twins, practically. There might be something to these stories, or this story you've been telling yourself. Might be something to the dreams. Might be something to the marriage, all of that. At this point, you can abandon the incursion and go straight to epilogue, or you can press forward into ring 5.
I feel like he's met his drive here. He's made this beautiful fire from the princess in this beautiful space. And more so, he's going to make something beautiful of this kingdom.
So give us the epilogue then. What happens here? And is this in the future, or is this something your character's doing in the present?
Interesting.
Is he the one constructing the quilt?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, clearly inspired by the princess. I think we see the castle, the fires are being put out, but there's still some smoke rising from different parts. And he's working with the Corvine army. We see a small group of them with Rickard amongst them, and he's giving them new orders and giving them orders to bring this idea to the Scoundrel's Quarter to make a day of it, make an occasion to celebrate a change in the way things will be here. And at the end of the day, I think we see him go back to his quarters, this large canopied bed on a dais, and he draws open the curtain and takes a seat and massages his leg as he pulls off a boot and slips his hooved feet into these lovely purple slippers.
Indeed. And yet that has not happened. And somehow, someone in the Scoundrel's Quarter begins making this quilt of fallen treasure hunters. Is there anything you would like to do in a posthumous epilogue for your characters, Amanda or Jack?
Yeah,
Please
I
do.
think we see in that room, it's been lit ablaze and Rickard is gone. Fire has consumed not only the princess, but at least Marta, who died, this sort of eerie smile on her face. But we leave that room and we begin to follow down the halls of this palace. That crystal orb that she'd been carrying around, the one that she lopped off the shoulders of the council. It's just moving on its own, rolling down the palace halls, these dimly lit halls, until finally it comes upon a wall. What looks like a wall at first, but when it hits the baseboard, the door pushes in and slides open, and the ball continues. And we see, as the ball goes in, we see this royal gallery full of these beautiful artworks by Agino and other notorious artists from this period. And the ball stops at the wall that the surrender of the Kingsguard is on. And we see that same memory that Marta had lost before. Her son was a member of the Kingsguard and he had been executed. And as part of that surrender, he was part of that company. And this was a painting made to honor this surrender that her son went through. Yeah.
The scene cuts over to a different castle, a mansion, some sort, and we see a group of tailors and menders and seamstresses working on very fine cloth. One says to another, "Hey, whatever happened to that other guy? You know, the whiny, annoying one." And the head tailor replies with a laugh, "I got him out of our hair. I told him to go and rescue the last scion, from the castle, that he had a secret mission to go on. But, I mean, it seems to have worked. We haven't seen him around." The other guy replies, "The last scion? That doesn't sound like a real thing. He believed that?" And that's where the scene ends.
So what do we suppose is the object or person or idea or thing that is going to be central to Eotho, Patience, and Bright Teeth's plans for the future? Is it the fall of the Kingsguard? The Agino painting? Is it something else? There's so many different details.
Something I was kind of clinging to, I was just sort of kick around, but I think it's maybe like a word or an ancient phrase or something, because there's been a lot of sort of like repeating motifs of mouths, whether it was a sewed up mouth of the valets or, there were other ones that I just don't remember right now. Oh, the multiple tongues of Ricard's wife. I think that maybe there's something there that we can build off of, but I don't know, that was just my first thought.
Yeah, I like the idea of mouths. There's also a lot of ideas of secrets
Yeah.
and people, telling their secrets once their mouths have been opened.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm looking for something much more specific and concrete.
Yeah.
Maybe since secrets was a big thing of this, maybe there is some ancient ritual that's been lost to time, but that was maybe in this palace. That is actually a ritual that can invoke truth in whoever the ritual is cast on, but it's more powerful than any of the other rituals that are sort of in that school of magic, and it's been locked away because it is so powerful. And it can compel people to speak not only their secrets, but lots of people at the same time. So maybe it's like a powerful ritual.
I thought it was interesting that like the nobles, as represented by the Corvine paintings or the Corvid paintings, that they felt like they couldn't speak aloud their secrets until the royal house fell. I thought that was intriguing. And we know that the bull, the beetle, and the fox want to bring down essentially authority, right? But they can't agree on what happens after that. That's the problem for them. Yeah.
I kind of want to tie in the beautiful cleansing fire that Ricard got,
Yeah.
that thing that happened at the end, because it feels like it should be something that happens near the end of this story that is important. Otherwise, the
maybe there was something inside the princess, an actual object that
forces people to keep secrets
or to open them up to it's this relic of truth seruming or something like that,
That's intriguing.
And it's again more powerful than any other ritual that other people have access to. It was sealed up inside the princess to keep it away from people like us.
Intriguing.
What if it's something that we didn't really focus on, but the characters all kind of encountered? What if it's that the magpies are gathering secrets?
Yeah.
And so if Iotho and Patience and Brightteeth Assyrio can control the magpies,
they control
secrets.
Knowledge. Yeah. That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Something that will help. Like the magpie thing is like very literal. Like this is like a really literal thing in the future. This like in this vision. That's intriguing. So then I guess it sounds like maybe there's an object that will draw the magpies. That I'm very curious about what it might be.
I liked the idea of when Ben mentioned the backup crown, because we didn't see anybody wearing a crown. But what if there is a crown that this royal house has, and that's the item that they hid inside of the princess, or she hid inside of herself when she was creating herself as an amalgamation of all the heirs.
That's intriguing.
And maybe this is like an object, like a crown that literally turns your head into like a corvid. And these paintings were of actual nobles who did actually perform this ritual on themselves to garner secrets.
Oh, it's interesting.
So they can talk to the magpies.
I like the idea of like there is a crown that allows you to actually like draw the magpies to you and confer with them.
It just transforms you a little bit.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, the Corvid crown. Very intriguing. Well, that's Regicide. Let's go ahead and we didn't get to Ring 5. That's okay. Ring 5 was really horrifying. If you can imagine, it's even more horrifying than the princess. But that's for another time. Let's go ahead and go to Stars and Wishes.
Stars to Ben and Jason for that whole conversation with Ricard and his wife. That was so creepy.
It was really creepy.
Everything about it was so creepy and intense. The conversation was awesome. It was like watching a horror movie. And I was super here for all of that. Marta just being terrifying on her own. I love Marta. She's wonderful. I want to be her when I grow up. Just her decisions, her jump to aggression every single time. It was a really fun character, Jack, and it's something really different than what you would normally play, I think. And I had a lot of fun with Marta. I loved all the stuff with the magpies. Where I live, there's lots and lots of magpies around here, but they're molting right now, so they all look like they're nice and sleek on the top, and then their bellies are all just feathers sticking out everywhere. So it's fun to think of them being like secret keepers when they're
Yeah.
all just big messes right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I'm really curious about what was
In
happening
Ring
in Ring
5.
5.
Yeah.
Ah,
This
Yeah,
is
I'm
great
into it.
fun. I love this is of all the Trophy Dark incursions, this is probably the one I have the least amount of experience with, but I really like it a lot. And one thing I like about it, which is not inherent to it, but I think it's really fascinating, is that so within all three trophy books, there's a lot of like implied setting information and lore, right? It's very little is like just spoken like directly, right? In as far as like trophy as a setting. And what I love about Regicide is Regicide tells you what's going on with the royal family, and it's basically mentioned nowhere else. Like you only know this if you play Regicide, right? And or at least read it. So like I really love that. There are hints of what might be going on in the Rose District section of Loom, because the people of the Rose District have sort of ambiently taken on a lot of these sort of like kind of decadent noble qualities, right? But nothing at the level of what's going on behind the actual palace walls. And so there's something very like interesting about that as a way of like world building and lore dispensing. There's something very like Dark Soulsy and Elden Ringy about it, which I love. And so yeah, I super dig that, and it came out really in a really cool way. It's like these three characters got to peek behind a curtain that many other treasure hunters and like won't get to, right? And so I thought that was really fascinating from a sort of, I guess, at a meta level or whatever. But as far as this session today goes, and also last time, yeah, I'll second the scene between Rickard and the wife. That was really intense scene. It was great. I also really enjoyed Jack, the way you described like what Marta was seeing in the crystal ball and stuff, and that whole scene was really good. And I also really enjoyed the constructing of the Billy Porter gown situation. That was really fun. Just like it was really fun that like that character was having this like kind of sartorial moment, and it was intercut with these horror moments, but then it became its own horror moment, and so that was all just really enjoyable and good. So yeah, all around great horror tease today. It was super into it.
Yeah, you mentioned Dark Souls, and maybe it's because I've been playing Dark Souls 3 a lot lately, but everything felt like it had this sort of like Dark Soulsy feel to it.
I always say Trophy is the actual Dark Souls role-playing game. I say that all the time, and
it's incredibly bleak and lots of small heads, lots of large monsters with tiny heads. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. This is the first time I've played an incursion and didn't get to Ring 5, like as a table. So that was fun. Yeah, thank you, Amanda. Another fun contest roll with you. I swear I'm going to stop trying to kill you. It won't be today, but it'll be someday. I'll have to try to kill Ben at some point. But yeah, that was fun, and I liked how you threw the whole ritual sort of backfiring into it and helped me sort of like build off this really kind of like grotesque murder death scene for the both of them. Yeah, similar stars for Rickard and his wife. Super creepy. Great visual though. There's a movie called Dagon, which doesn't have a hoofed woman, but it has like a sort of like a tentacle princess, and it's a very kind of like similar scene. So I saw that in my head, and it was still very creepy. And yeah, just really cool vibes. I know, Jason, you said you weren't as familiar with this one as other ones, but this definitely had its own vibe that felt very decadent and very different from a lot of the other stuff that you've run us through. And Yeah, I really appreciated that. Especially like the sort of like building, mounting decadence and like weirdness of like body horror that was happening. That like the princess sounds an amazing creature, and I'm very into her.
Yeah, so much will just be echoing. But Jack, I really love just how hard you went with Marta. Just she was awesome, and I'm sad that she's a dark character and not someone that we'll get to mess around with in gold and see. I think if Marta could jump into the gold universe at some point,
Well,
that could be a lot of fun.
Marta's not dead, right? Like
That's right.
this
Yeah.
story took place in the future, so Marta is theoretically still, or like you're all three still. These characters are still like kind of available in a sense. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be fun. There's a wish, I guess. Amanda, Tam was so much fun. I loved, going into the sartorial horror and leaning into the dresses wearing you. Just a lot of fun. Also, that contest role, you both just, I mean, you always do. You go for it. Jason, everything about this was creepy. The vibes were great. The little bits of weirdness and lore were so much fun to see, and we've not really touched on the monarchy of our world in this campaign, and so seeing it and I guess vindicating Cassian's former drive a little bit is a fun little side effect there. It was good stuff.
If I
I'm
can
a little
interject.
bummed.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm a little bummed I didn't stick around for Ring 5, but I think that
No,
was a good
it's
place
okay.
for
No, I think it's
for
perfectly
Ripper Town.
fine. I will interject. I'll say that like one of the things I really loved about this, like running this incursion right now, is we've had a lot of hints in the campaign, mostly because it's my point of view about the trophy setting. It's not like hard canon, but my point of view in the trophy setting is that the sisters are actually like eldritch horrors, right? Like I believe they're not good people, that they're like these monstrosities, right? And there's evidence of that in Loom and other places, but it's not like hard data, right? It's just something that I lean towards and I pick up on, and I really love that because regicide sort of like reinforces this theory, right? Like the sisters weren't really a part of the story, but the sisters are co-equal with the royal house in terms of like keeping the masses under control and like the civilization, right? And so the idea that like this civilization is held together by horrors is really, really fascinating and intriguing, and again very Dark Soulsy. It's actually very Demon Soulsy, but yeah, it's great, right? And so I love kind of literally peeking behind the curtain to see that stuff. So
yeah, and Starfur just like leaning into the decadence. Like there is no ambiguity about this royal family. They're disgusting body horror freaks, and I love them.
And like elitist in the grossest way, right? Like like really horrible.
I don't like this air. Let's just sew him onto the princess.
Yeah, just toss him into the princess room. Like so anyway, any other stars or wishes? All right, well, this is great fun. Let's wave goodbye to our 40 viewers. Goodbye.